Greetings, Bassketeers. Josh Fossgreen here with an important public service announcement. You need to start doing ear training. You need to. You just so need to do it. Specifically, I really recommend that you do some interval ear training where you listen to different musical intervals played to you and you have to say which one it is, and then you see if you got it right or not, and you improve over time. This is just like the main course of ear training for me is getting your intervals really, really solid so you can just go bang, minor second, bang, perfect fifth, bang, octave, bang, minor seventh, and just nail it out of the park so that you can listen to songs and just know the bass line just because you listen to it once and then just pick up your bass and just play along. It's just so fun. You so want to be able to do this, and I've been telling people to do it for years, and I think a lot of you probably haven't actually done it. So that's why I'm making this video. We're going to do it together right now. I'm going to switch over to the world of screen capture, and we're going to do some ear training, and I'm going to show you what a simple process it is and how to get started even if your ear totally sucks right now. And you can do this just by using a couple free websites that I'll link you to, and we'll talk about, and you'll see them in the video. Ear training is amazing, and it's so easy to do now using the tools that we have available in this moment in human history. This is harder to do even when I was in college, which wasn't that long ago, and especially back before we had computer software that helped us do ear training. We had to rely on like pianos and stuff, which aren't even really in tune, and that whole debacle. So it's a great time to do ear training. It's never a bad time to start. And you're going to be really happy you did it when in a year or two or however much work you put in and how long it takes from where you are now, you can just listen to a song and be like, oh yeah, doop-a-doop-a-doo, and people will be like, that's amazing, how'd you do that? And you'll be like, interval ear training, baby. So let's do it.
Okay, all you need is 2 websites to get you to be an interval training master, and this is the first one, musictheory.net. This website is amazing. I've been using this since college, and it's just gotten better and better. You can get an app version, it's like $5, but you can do it for free on the website. So the first prerequisite here is you need to know what intervals are and how they're named and the theory behind that. And I'm not going to go into that in this video because all you need to do is click the lessons page, that's where I am now, come down to intervals and read these lessons and figure that stuff out. It's very basic music theory that everybody should know, in my opinion. It really helps with communicating with other musicians, and it helps you categorize and understand the music that you're hearing when you're playing with people or when you're listening to records. So super important that you understand interval theory, and I'm not going to talk about that because what we're doing here is we're going to the exercises page. We're going to scroll down to ear training and click interval ear training. And right out of the gate, it's playing me an interval, and then I have to say what the interval is. And then I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again. Oh, no. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. I could just do that all day and get them 100% right because I've spent many, many, many hours doing this, which is what you're about to do. So the way you're seeing this right now with all these intervals here, this is way too hard if you've never done this before. So I'm going to click this gear over here to customize the exercise. I'm going to click intervals, and then I'm going to deselect everything except for a couple. I'm going to suggest just kind of generically that you start with a major third and a perfect fifth, and that's all. So now it's going to play me an interval, and it's either going to be a major third or a perfect fifth. So I have a 50-50 chance even if I guess. So I'm going to go for getting it 100% of the time at some point. So blah, blah, blah. So there's other things I can customize here. I can change the play mode and the speed, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So this might even be too hard for you right now, and you might think, gosh, I can't even get to step 1. I'm doomed. But you're not, because I've started with people here who are at step 1, and there's a way to make sense of this by using this other website. And there will be links to these both in the description of this video, so you don't need to memorize this and type it in your browser yourself. This is a really great free tool from the folks at Earmaster. They have a paid ear training program that looks pretty cool. I've never actually gone very deep into it. They asked me to review it a while back, and I promptly did not make time for that. But anyway, this is a free page that has a list of intervals, ascending and descending, and a list of melodies that begin with that interval. So the trick to making sense of interval ear training is having a musical association with each interval, so that when you hear the words major third, you don't think, okay, well, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. So if I want to C, that's an E. That's all great stuff, but you need an aural association, A-U-R-A-L, and that's what this page is all about. So we're working on major third and perfect fifth. So I'm going to go, okay, let's just do ascending intervals. So that's this column, major third, and then these are melodies I can choose from that start with a major third. So, oh, when the saints is a major third. Oh, when kumbaya is 1, 3, 5. Actually, that's pretty useful. Same with oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. That's another major triad arpeggio. So anyway, all three of these melodies and the rest of these all start with a major third. Da, 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 da. The bass line to Blister in the Sun starts with a major third. So what you want to do is pick the one that you're the most familiar with, and stick to that. I think When the Saints Go Marching In is a great one. But you want it to be something that you just know super, super well, that you don't even have to think about how it sounds. So I'm going to pick When the Saints Go Marching In. Our other interval we're working on is the perfect fifth. So then I'm going to scroll down to perfect fifth. And here's a selection of melodies that start with a perfect fifth. Twinkle, twinkle, that's a perfect fifth, from twinkle to twinkle. Or Star Wars, la la la, Star Wars, da da. That first interval is a perfect fifth. Can't help falling in love, the wise men say, is a perfect fifth from the first note to the second note. Ascending, perfect fifth. It's important the direction here because they do feel a little different. Or Blackbird, Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Those are all perfect fifths. So just pick your favorite one. I'm going to pick Star Wars because frickin' John Williams, man. Okay, so those are the only two intervals we're worried about. So then what I can do is just click Create Interval Example Chart. And it'll make this special little page for me with just those two melodies I'm thinking about. So now, here's the really cool part. When I come over here and I hear this, I'm not thinking theory, okay, 4 half steps versus 7 half steps, doodly doodly do. I'm just thinking, okay, does this sound like, oh, When the Saints Go Marching In, or does it sound like Star Wars? Da, 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 Star Wars, right? So then I click fifth. There's another fifth. There's another fifth. Okay, there's a third. So da da, oh, when the saints, right? So it's not going to be as easy for you at first as it is for me right now because I've done this a lot. But that's how you get your starting point, is you make a melodic reference. So let's say I'm struggling with this one. Da. So I'm going to sing the first note. Okay, so I've got that first note in my ear. And then why don't I just sing both melodies? So I can sing, oh, when the saints are da 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 da. Okay, that matches the oh, when the saints thing. So I'll do that and then I get it right. So it's going to take some practice, but you will get better at this if you have melodic references. So let's say I'm nailing that and that's going perfectly well. I'm just going to move along. This could represent many, many hours of practice, but we're just going to speed along here. Let's say you're nailing that 100%. I'm going to go to intervals. I'm going to add another interval. I could throw in an octave, or I could throw in a minor third. It really, I don't know that there's a best way to do this. Eventually what you're going for is just having everything lit up and totally crushing it. And also what you want to play with eventually, once you're comfortable with some ascending intervals, is you want to do some practice with descending intervals, so high note to low note, and also some harmonic intervals, which is hearing them at the same time, basically as a chord, quote unquote, but technically in music theory terms, it's not a chord because it's just 2 notes, so it's just a harmonic interval. But just so you can hear what that sounds like, I'll just put it in harmonic mode only. Da, da. So you can hear both of those notes. Da, da. So that's just a power chord. There's an octave. There's a minor third. Da, da, oh, when the saints. So I can kind of still use the melodic references here. The harmonic ones are different. Something to keep in mind here with these different play modes is that knowing your ascending intervals doesn't mean you're going to nail the harmonic ones. You actually need to practice all 3 of these. And then there's some combination modes here. There's ascending plus harmonic, descending plus harmonic. Those are useful too. I recommend that you play with all of those play modes. Not maybe all of them at the same time, but over time. You can also play with the speed it plays you, the intervals. I feel like it gets not that useful at the very fastest speeds because it just gives you a really clipped audio file of the, I'll hear what that sounds like. Let's put it back in ascending. I mean, yeah, you can still do it. Okay, that feels so frenetic. It's doable, but I recommend you put it somewhere between like slower and fast, probably. Definitely start with slower if you're starting out. You can also adjust the range, so if the low ones or the high ones are tricky for you, you can narrow that range in to get yourself a starting point. The trick with ear training is to get a starting point where you're able to be successful at least like 90%, if not 100% of the time, just over and over and over nailing it. And then you can branch out from there. But if you're just starting with ear training and you don't have a 100% success point that you're starting from, you're just going to be frustrated and probably be wasting your time. Because if you're guessing a lot when you're doing ear training, you're not really doing anything useful, in my opinion. Okay, so that's the basics. I'm going to give you one more advanced tip. Let's say that that I'm doing a little better at this. And you can also see, you even get intervals up to the double octave on this website, which is pretty cool. I actually wouldn't mind spending a little more time with that because they're similar. You know, a minor ninth and a minor second are very similar intervals in a way, but they're not exactly the same. So it's not a bad idea to spend time with them, especially because as bass players, we're always listening to bass notes and melodies kind of at the same time, and they're usually split apart by more than an octave. So it's not bad to feel really good about those too. But let's say I'm just working intervals within the octave. Let's switch the play mode back to slower so you can hear what's going on. Okay. So let's say I'm doing this, I'm going along, it's going fine, but I keep mixing up perfect fourths and perfect fifths. This is a real life thing that used to happen to me when I first started doing this. This must have been back in 2007 or something when I was in college and I was doing this. So let's say there's a couple intervals you keep messing up. You're nailing the seconds, you're nailing the thirds, you're nailing the sixths, you're nailing the sevenths, but you keep messing up perfect fourth, perfect fifth. So what I recommend doing is just strip out everything except those two intervals. Just take it back to basics. And the problem is that you're hearing perfect fourth and perfect fifth as being similar when in fact they're not actually similar. They're different things. So you need to differentiate better. So blah, blah, blah. You just do that forever. This is so fun. You just get to like listen to stuff and click on things. It's so great that these exercises are available now. You just hammer this until you hear that these are not the same thing. And it really helps to bring them in isolation like that. And then you can either bring everything else back in or bring a couple other things back in, or maybe try adding another interval in that range, like add the tritone in. And don't expect to go this fast either. I'm just kind of like clicking immediately after hearing things because I've done this a lot, but you might need some time to think and like think about your song examples. Okay. So like if I need something here for perfect fourth, I can do amazing. Wow, that was really great singing. Amazing Grace starts with the perfect fourth, or Here Comes the Bride. That's a good one because it's very, it really marks the interval. Da, dun, da, da. I'm not sure which Harry Potter theme they're referring to there. Or We Wish You a Merry Christmas. That starts with the perfect fourth. I don't know which Super Mario they're talking about there either. Anyway, just pick one of these. Tritone. The Simpsons and Maria both start with a big melodic tritone. And these all have YouTube links so you can check out what they sound like too. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so this is sort of bonus if you don't already have melodies in your head that you think of for all these intervals, but there's some really great ones here. Jaws is a great one for minor second, blah, 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 blah. But what you really need is just musictheory.net, the interval ear training function. And is there anything else I need to explain up here? Yeah, you can change the next question mode so that after you get a correct answer, you have to click again. So that kind of changes the feel. I'll just demo that for you real quick. So there's a fourth, I click right, it tells me I'm right with the green, but then I have to click again to get the next question. So you might want to do that if you're starting out to have a little more processing time. I've been doing it where as soon as I click the right answer, it gives me the next interval. You might not want to do it that way if you're just starting out. So, okay, last thing, there's a lot you can do here. That's basically all you need to do, and that should cover you for like the next year or two. But also they've got scale and chord ear training here, and that's a good way to start putting your interval ear training into context. So you can, again, you just pick which scales you want here. And let's see, I wasn't listening, but I think that was Phrygian. No, I wasn't listening enough. There we go, Locrian. I stopped listening around the 5th, so I didn't hear the flat 5. And chord ear training, too, is really great. And you can pick from triads and 7ths. Is that all they got here? Yeah, you can pick weirder 7th chords like Og 7 and Og major 7, and then a couple sus chords. There's no like extended jazz harmony on this website, but that's cool. You don't need that. All you need is interval ear training, because all the music you listen to is ascending, descending, and harmonic intervals combined together. It's just a bunch of intervals, guys. So if you can hear the intervals, you can start to transcribe stuff when you're listening, and also just hear what people are playing when you're actually playing music with people, and understand what they're doing without having to do a whole layer of thinking and processing and watching their hands and stuff. You can just do it with your ears. It's really awesome. So I really, really hope that you will spend time with this. And again, this is all free. It's just on the internet. You used to have to do this with like an out-of-tune piano and a friend, and now you just click on your computer and you can just do this for 5 minutes every day until you're an ear training master.
So that's it. That's interval ear training. It's a very simple process. As you can see, there's a lot of ground to cover, especially if you're starting out right at the top with just a couple of intervals and this is new to you. But there's just no way around it. You listen to music. Music is composed of intervals stacked vertically and horizontally in different arrangements. And if you know what the building blocks are, then you can pick up the bigger chunks much, much more successfully. And it's all about picking up big chunks when you're playing music. You know, doesn't that just sound so appealing? So seriously, like, do this like multiple days a week, if not every day. It doesn't have to be for a long time. Just like the great thing about these exercises is they tell you how many you've done. So you just reset your counter, say, okay, I'm going to do 20 in a row, 40 in a row, 50 in a row. I'm going to see how many I can get right in a row and keep track of that, you know, see if you can get up to like 50 in a row with no mistakes. I mean, this is a reasonable goal to have. Because when you're playing music live and you're listening to what your guitar player is doing, you don't want to be messing around with, well, is that a minor third or a major third? You just want bang. You want instant responsiveness. So set your goals high, you know, like you could be nailing all those intervals you see in that list, like all the intervals just going bang, 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 super, super fast. There's always more ground to cover, but you want to get to a basic level of proficiency with all these intervals because they're in all the music you like, and you want to be able to play the music you like and learn the songs quickly. And when you're playing music with people, you want to hear what your guitar player does and go, oh yeah, that's cool, boop doop doo, and do a thing that makes sense with it. And you can just do that more and more intuitively the more you understand what these intervals are, how they map out on the bass, and all that stuff. So yeah, do it. Do some ear training. If you learn nothing else from watching my videos, just do some freaking ear training. Do some ear training and work economy of motion with your technique. And yeah, and then you don't need to watch my bass lesson videos. You can just go do gigs and be really awesome. So do that, and I will or won't see you. How's that for great advertising? Josh Fossgreen, marketing whiz at work. See you guys soon.
Ha 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 ha, the power of bass compels you. Subscribe to this channel for more bass lessons, or click on the video preview to watch another one right now. Ha 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 ha.